What's better than a day trip to a new place? Checking out a new airline that does things a little differently and has a lot of promise. Let's check them out. Hey guys, it's your favorite vacation agent, Kelly. I was scrolling through Instagram one day, and an airline I had never heard of popped up on the vacation agent feed. Ahem, at the vacation agent, by the way. Give us a follow over there. They're called Avelo Airlines, or Avelo Airlines, and on their post, they mentioned that they're America's most reliable airline. So I went on the website to see what the deal was. On the homepage, they have a couple of selling points that stood out. Smaller airports. They fly out of smaller, more local airports. Everyday low fares. Much like Southwest, they are a low-cost airline that offers a more a la carte type of fare. Reliable service. As I said, their website boasts that they are America's most reliable airline, but I'll expound upon that a little later. Free family seating. This one interested me quite a bit, being a father of 2 young children who love to travel. But again, I will get into this later in the video. About the smaller airports. Right off the bat, I wanted to figure out how I could try this airline out. So I checked their route map and found the closest airport they fly out of to me was ILG in Wilmington, Delaware, about 35 minutes south, or an $80 Uber ride. Their interactive map, which is pretty handy, shows you all the routes from each airport they use. For ILG, they fly to 14 different destinations at the time of filming this video, many of them in Florida, all of them in the eastern and southern parts of the US. I wanted to do a day trip and visit a friend in West Palm Beach, so I looked at their flights and noticed their schedule is very limited. I mean, they only fly on Mondays and Fridays, and there's only one flight there and back on those days. The flight there arrives at 6:12 p.m., and the flight back leaves at 6:57 p.m. So suffice it to say that a day trip solely on Avelo is impossible. They won't even let you book it. I tried. But I'm the type of person who, if I set my mind to something, I find a way to get it done. So, being a frequent flyer on American Airlines, and needing just a couple hundred miles to reach the next status tier, I booked a one-way flight in the morning on AA, and in the evening return flight on Avelo. The booking process. The booking process is pretty standard, but some things that differ from, say, a more traditional airline like American is that you pay for your fare, seat, baggage, and other options a la carte style. First, you do the usual. Enter your location, destination, date, and passenger count, and then pick which flights you want to travel on. This is the first price point, the base fare for traveling. From there, you need to pay for your seat. None of the seats are free. And for this flight, seats were as low as $14 and as high as $64, depending on where you're sitting. For example, the window, aisle, front of the plane, emergency exit row, etc. That's your second price point. The first 7 rows fall under the premium economy category. There were no first or business class fares. Then, they only allow a personal item for free. Any carry-ons require a third price point, starting at $45, and you're only allowed 1 carry-on per passenger. The same goes for checked bags. Those require a 4th price point, starting at $44, but domestically, you can check up to 10 bags. And they also offer priority boarding at $15 and a pet traveler fee of $125 as well. Luckily, this was a day trip, and I was only bringing my backpack with me. So all in all, my base fare was $42.69. I reserved a premium economy seat for $30, and taxes and fees were $18.30, for a total of $90.99. I later added the priority boarding option for $15, bringing the grand total to $105.99. Conversely, my basic economy one-way ticket on American was $331.47, including taxes and fees. That includes basic economy seats, a personal item, and 1 carry-on bag. Also, I flew out of Philadelphia International, about 15 minutes from me, or a $24 Uber ride. And just to be thorough, I checked to see what a round-trip flight on American would cost, and it basically is double the one-way fare at $638. So if you book well enough in advance, and you aren't just staying for the day, you could save quite a bit of money flying with Avelo. The experience. While Philly isn't the biggest airport, it can be a hassle at times, so flying out of a smaller, less crowded airport is appealing. My flight on American from Philly to Palm Beach was uneventful, which is a good thing. I got through security and to the gate very quickly. boarding was nice and easy, and the flight was a normal, run-of-the-mill flight. I arrived at PBI and was not very impressed. Some construction or remodeling was going on, but they didn't drape the areas off, so it looked pretty messy. But when I walked outside to 70-degree weather, after coming from 30 degrees in Philly with a 20-degree wind chill factor, I was loving life. I spent the day with my friend, who dropped me back off at PBI, where I really started to get excited. It was the first time he had seen Avelo on the airport signage, so they were new to him too. Not having any bags, I went straight through security, which took all of 2 minutes, and then straight to the gate. I made it a point to talk to the gate attendant, not on film, to see what type of service I could expect. She was very lovely and immediately noticed that my ticket was a priority ticket. She pointed it out to me and told me that I would board with pre-boarding, i.e. wheelchairs, military, and families with small children that need extra time boarding. A little while later, they began boarding and I was on the plane in no time, easy peasy. I have to admit, I'm somewhat of a people watcher. I can't help it, and being one of the first on the plane, there's not much else to do than watch everyone else board. I must say that the majority of the passengers look like seasoned flyers. Now, being a travel content creator, I come across some crazy video clips of less than ideal passenger activity, usually carried out by people who aren't hip to the flying game. With this being a relatively new airline, rebranded in 2021, and a low-cost airline, it's kinda hard to tell what to expect. But I was pleasantly surprised at how many veteran travelers, or good fakers, I saw get on the plane. There was nothing special about Avelo at all. The flight attendants were not bad, but not great. Was to be expected, but sometimes it's good to be surprised, like the first time I flew Southwest.
Position your seatbelt tight and lower across your hips like my grandmother wears her support bra. If you get mad, you want to take your toys and go home?
The seats were not very comfortable. In fact, the cushion was rather hard. It's a good thing their flights are regional. They also don't have any charging capabilities or Wi-Fi, so keep that in mind. There was no drink service provided, not even water, and they only came back to pick up trash once. It was a 2+ hour flight, so not the worst thing, but something to be aware of. Comparing Avelo to American. By comparison, they did provide a drink service on my American flight down to PBI. The seats were a lot more comfortable and had multiple charging capabilities, as well as multiple Wi-Fi options and free streaming on your device. Although it didn't apply to me, being able to have a carry-on and a checked bag is nice. But even adding the extra $90 for one of each on Avelo is still cheaper than flying American. Having Wi-Fi and being able to charge my devices were huge. You don't really notice those things until you can't do them. Hopefully Avelo adds them, even if they have to charge for those too. Boarding was a breeze. I may have to do another one of these trips to see if paying $15 for priority boarding is worth it. What was worth it was the premium economy seat. There was a ton of legroom. Now, I'm not the biggest guy, but I was able to stretch my legs entirely and did not feel cramped whatsoever. I would definitely buy those seats again. The main drawback for me though is the limited flights on Avelo's schedule. They say they are growing, adding flights and destinations frequently. So here's hoping that happens, because I think if they can add more destinations and more flight times, they will definitely offer a decent value product in an economy that needs more affordability. I could let it slide with not providing a drink service since the flight was so short, but I hope on flights longer than 3 hours, they at least provide some water. Earlier I said I would expound upon the detail about them being America's most dependable airline. Well, when you only have a handful of flights coming and going into local, aka less busy airports, it's not hard to acquire that title. I think it's a little misleading and more of a marketing thing than anything else. Although I must say, they took off on time and arrived about half an hour earlier than expected, so maybe they really are what they say. And another detail I wanted to mention was the free family seating feature they offer. This one is very misleading. At first glance, it sounds like kids fly free. Children 14 and under will be seated with an accompanying adult at no extra cost. So, as an experiment, I mock booked a trip to Orlando since I take my family down to Disney World frequently, and lo and behold, the kids were not free. So I sat there with my simple mind and tried to figure out what free family seating means. Turns out, all it really means is that they will not charge you an extra fee to sit with your children. What a strange thing to point out when you have to pay for your seat no matter where you're sitting. I guess this applies to parents booking flights last minute with limited or scattered seating options. Either way to get my hopes up, Avelo. Lastly, they do not charge cancellation or flight change fees, which is pretty cool. I've had to cancel a couple of flights on American, and if you're cheap like me and buy basic economy seats, you have to let go of $100 per seat for every flight you cancel. So this feature comes in handy in the event you ever need it. All in all, would I fly Avelo again? Sure, if the timing is right and the price is significantly more affordable, like it was for me on this trip, I would definitely fly Avelo again. And if they add more flight times and destinations in the near future, for sure they would be a strong, low-cost option in the aviation world. Right now, they're still climbing an uphill battle, but their trajectory is trending up too. It'll be interesting and exciting to see what happens in the next year or two. I'll be pulling for them because we all at the Vacation Agent believe everyone should travel even just a little bit. And if there are good, solid options for younger people or people who never thought they could afford travel, we're all for that. I hope you found this video informative. If you did, please hit that like button and share it with your travel-seeking friends. And smash that subscribe button so you never miss out on our vacation video gold. Have you flown Avelo? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment and let us know how it went. As always, I'm Kelly, and from all of us at the Vacation Agent, safe travels.